Hello and welcome all. In first part of video lecture on process scheduling, I, Professor Amar Mudiraj from MCA Department, Marathwada Institute of Technology, Aurangabad. Our today's discussion topic is process scheduling. So let's get start our discussion with the content which we are going to discuss in this session. Our entire series is going to be divided into two parts. In very first part, we are going to see what is process scheduling and which are the various criteria for process scheduling. In the next consecutive session or part 2 in this video series, we are going to see what are the schedulers going to be used for the process scheduling and their types. Last but not the least, we are going to see what are the different types of process scheduling can have in the operating system. So let's begin with the learning objectives of this video session. After successful view of this video, students will able to understand what is a process scheduling and different objectives of process scheduling takes place. Then we are going to see what is the role of process schedulers in process scheduling with their various types. At the last, we are going to be learn various types of process scheduling. Again, as per as the cognitive level, this video lecture can cover recall and understanding level in the upcoming sessions. So let's begin with the process scheduling. Process scheduling is nothing but where the processes which going to be executing into the RAM or a processor, we can say in a memory or a processor. So scheduler or process scheduling will going to be defining out of this multiple number of processes which process will executing in a main memory, that is in a ready state, or which process is going for a processor, that means in an execution state. It will actually deciding what will be the process execution sequence need to be get happen. That means if in a single processor or single RAM I can have multiple number of processes to execute, so which process will execute first, then which process next, and so on. So the sequence is going to be get decided by the help of process scheduling. In another way, the process scheduling is nothing but selecting among the processes in the memory that are ready to execute and allocating CPU to one of them. Whenever we are going to defining what is process scheduling or how the scheduling is going to be get performed, all the process schedulings can have certain criteria like some attributes and keywords. Now some criteria like follow. First of all, a CPU utilization. That means we are trying to keeping our CPU as much as busy as we can. That means idling or keeping my CPU idle is not a feasible solution for my process scheduling. So we are trying to keeping the CPU utilization as much as we can do it. Next is called throughput. That means throughput means a number of processes that complete their execution in a per unit time. That means if I'm going to considering that a one processor or one process scheduling can execute 10 processes complete their execution in a 1 minute, so the throughput will be 10. In the same pattern, the another process scheduling will executing 100 process execution completion within a 1 minute, so their throughput can be 100. So likewise, we are trying to defining criteria with throughput. Next criteria will be turnaround time. That means a amount of time to execute a particular process, means from the start to terminate, entire time taken by the process during this execution, since start to ready to execute to terminate, or if anything goes wrong, from execute to waiting to ready to execute, and so on. So whatever entire time a process is going to be spent from the start to termination, that entire time can be treated as a turnaround time of a process. Next criteria is a waiting time, where the amount of time a process has been waiting in a ready queue. That means the entire time in the execution cycle or a state chart diagram where the process is not in a running state. Means process is actually not going to be executing, sometime it may possible process waiting for some IO events or some resources need to be get happen, or sometime process is in a waiting for a ready state or ready queue for processor get allocated to that process during this execution. So this is again a waiting time is there. Last scheduling criteria is nothing but a response time, where amount of time it takes from when a request was submitted until the first responses get produced. Means not output for a time sharing environment where a process is ready for execution, but at very first time whenever a processor is get allocated to process first time, that much time is considered as a response time. That we are going to see in very detail in an upcoming session. This is the optimization criteria, means we can say that execution of a process or process scheduling is most optimistic if this criteria is going to be get optimized like this. Maximizing CPU utilization means we are trying to maximizing CPU utilization as much as can, means the most ideal situation where the CPU is get utilized, that means 80% of CPU utilization become a ideal one. Next is called maximizing the throughput, means we are trying to increasing number of processes complete their execution in a given time unit. Then we are trying to minimizing the turnaround time in the form of that a process will get a minimum waiting time, and putting too much time in a execution instead of having waiting on in a ready state, means once a process will go into the ready state, it will immediately go to the running state, and if it will get complete its execution, it will be get transmitted to the termination state or end state. Next criteria is we are trying to minimizing waiting state or waiting time, means processes need to be get avoid in a waiting instead of having the process need get to be execute. That means during the waiting state, a waiting time, processes are holding the resources which will be no use during their execution. So that's why we are trying to minimizing the waiting time. Again we are trying to minimizing the response time, means a CPU can giving maximum number of responses to maximum number of processes during their execution. So process will have enough and fair chance to get execute, and it will avoiding the rush into the ready state for having the more attention from the CPU during their execution cycle. We'll stop here, and in a very next session in a part 2 we are going to see what is the process scheduler, their types and various types of process scheduling criteria. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you.